What do you like about what you were able to accomplish today?
Yeah, well, we came in with a couple of objectives. You look at a bunch of stuff to try to help make the team better. But specifically, we wanted to look at the two areas, and one was on the blue line, specifically on the right side, if we could upgrade ourselves there with some experience and sort of with a profile, with a defending D, somebody that can help on the PK. Obviously, with Tanny out the last week or so, I wanted to make sure that we had that type of profile and try to spread those minutes out around a little bit more. I think the D's done a real good job this year, so I wanted to try to give a little help there with some experience, and then center ice position, and give us some depth there. And I think both players do. Before I talk about the new players, it's important, first off, to thank Connor Timmins, Connor Dewar, Fraser Minton, and Nikita Garabenkin. Obviously, both Connors had been with the NHL team more than the young guys. And that's the tough part about today is you have to, in some cases, say goodbye to real good people. All four were great Leafs. The two kids, Nikita, I think he sort of captured his personality, captured everybody there. I said to him, more back check and there'll be a greater paycheck. And then Fraser, you can't say enough about Fraser. He's just a wonderful, wonderful young man. So to get good players, you got to give good players. So we're certainly happy with the additions of Scott and Brandon, and wish Connor, the two Connors and Fraser and Nikita, all the best.
When did you first start zeroing in on Brandon, and how difficult was it getting him from a division rival?
Yeah, Luke, it's a good question. When did we start zeroing him? He's been on our radar for a long time. You don't know when players are going to become available. Donnie and I had talked for a while. Donnie made a decision that he was going to go in a certain direction. As far as the rival thing, that's why Donnie's a good GM. I think he and one of the best GMs in the league, and why he's had so much success is, he's going to try to find the best deal for him. And so we were able to find a deal. But it's just the profile of him. He's big, he's long, great stick, defends the blue paint really well, excellent on the penalty kill, tremendous character. And talking both to him and Donnie today, he's been a big part of the success that's gone on in Boston, and they've had a lot of it. But he's been on our radar for a long, long time.
Is there salary being retained in that deal?
Yeah, there is. There's salary retained in both.
Can you tell us how much?
I've been up for a long time, so 50% in the Lawton deal and 15% in the Carlo deal.
It's been a pretty crazy 24 hours here. How would you describe this trade deadline for you?
I think it was, business as usual. I think it's busy. Deadline day is always busy, right? Deadlines force decisions in some cases. But I thought it was a busy day. You saw lots of activity in the league. I think when we talked last, just trying to find who was going to be available, right? We still got lots of teams in the race. So it was a difficult trying to decipher who may become available. I think it went down the last few days for some teams making decisions on which way they were going to go. But like every you have to do your work ahead of time, and but credit to the staff did a good. We were prepared, and executed the plan.
How
When
important
Florida and
was,
Tampa make the deals that they make, does that put added pressure on you, or is that you sort of stay the course there?
Well, you're aware of what's going on in your neighborhood, right? So you're aware of that, but you got to be careful of just reacting, right? I know I talked about it the other day. You're trying to make your team better. Yeah, we want to get as many good players as we possibly can, but you got to be careful of just saying one team did this and now you got to do that. You're aware of what's going obviously around the league and in your division, conference, and all those things, but ultimately the job is to do what's best for you. Address areas that you need to address within your team setup, cap wise, roster wise, all those types of things. And then there's all sorts of variables that come into play. In terms of trade protection and all that sort of stuff. So you try to navigate that. Long way of saying you pay attention to the league, but you're focused, and you got to be real focused on and be disciplined on executing the plan that we set out really back in January when you have your meetings and you talk to your scouts regularly and you follow the team, and Chief and I speak daily, and that was what we tried to do today.
Given what you gave up, how important was term in getting the guys that you got that you kind of can game plan for beyond the season too, in terms of what you have?
Yeah, I mean, our situation, there's a lot of, and I've said it before, there's times to do everything, right? In terms of rentals. But again, you got to be careful of what's going out the door for very potentially short term. So our focus, we were around the rental market to see what was going on. But like I said before, I was, as a group, we were focused on seeing if there was players that we can get for term, and the retention piece is important. It costs, right?
Yeah.
And so you take all that into consideration, but certainly finding players that were going to be here beyond this year was, something that we attempted to do.
Expect both
surprised
guys
with-
in the lineup tomorrow night?
That's the expectation.
Yeah.
Weather looks okay. Travel, everything, but yeah, both were excited and both will be in tonight.
Yeah. What's the plan for Reeves? Is he actually going to play for the Marlies, or what's?
Yeah,
what's your
we'll see. I mean, Ryan, that was a difficult conversation. Ryan's a true pro, and I don't, this isn't goodbye, right? Ryan's still a big part of our locker room. He's part of the team. Those are hard conversations. Good man. So, he's been assigned to the Marlies today. I'm going to speak with him later today. Him and I will get caught up, but we'll keep him going here, and my hope is we can get him back here sooner rather than later. But obviously you got to work within the guidelines there. But it's glad that Ryan didn't go anywhere today.
Scott's character seems to be such a big part of who he is and his game. How important was it to you to?
Yeah, I mean, Josh, you look at all that. That is a piece of it. Like you're looking for real good players, but I always find that good character people tend to follow success, and success follows them. And listen, I've been watching Scotty Lawton since he was in Oshawa, and he's been a captain wherever he goes. You look and see some of the things being said about him in Philly today, leaving. Just a character guy, and I can tell you, as hard as it was for him, he's been a Flyer his whole life. He was emotional talking about coming home playing for the Leafs. So he's excited. I know that was a really important chapter in his life in Philly, but he's excited to start one here.
Were you surprised with how high the prices seem to be for buyers this year?
Yeah, right. What's the old supply and demand, right? Yeah, I mean the when there's not much, you can charge more, and that seemed to be the case here. And you're navigating it, and but certainly that was the sense coming in today. you always like to try to get things done as early as you can, and was hoping that the blue light specials would come on. They didn't come on as quick as I'd hoped, but no, hey, that's what you're dealing with. You're dealing with managers that are really good at their jobs, and everybody's trying to do the best for the team. So, but there was, I think the market dictates, and supply and demand, and you saw some teams that were selling, get good returns.
Despite the high prices, how significant was it that you were able to keep Easton Cowan in the organization?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, Easton, Fraser, you want to keep all your players, but at the end of the day, sometimes you have to make tough decisions. So I put it two ways. It's my job to look at everything, and nothing is ever off the table. But certainly, we think Easton's a terrific young player. It would have to have a significant impact for us, but that's the job. Our job is to make this team, better every time that we can. And but glad today that Easton's part of it and still with us. And like I said, I didn't. I figured that was going to be the case, barring something unforeseen.
Imagine there was some interest in Matthew Nyes. What has he shown you this season to make him?
Well, Matthew's still a young player, right? We forget second full season, right?
Yeah.
Those players that come at the end of their college career and play you always feel like they've been around usually a couple years longer than they have. So he's just maturing into his body. His game's maturing. I think Matthew's just realizing how big and strong he is, and he's getting more comfortable. We sort of growing right in front of our eyes. So he's a big part of our team now. Continue to be moving forward, and he's a unique player. That's a big, strong man at 22 years old, and developing different parts of his game. You see what he's done in the power play from net front. Developing an edge to his game. Added the element the other night into his game. So you can see a power forward developing right in front of us.